Daniel Jones, man, didn't have Malik Neighbors out there. His first snap of the game, he took a sack and like fumbled on his own. It looked like it was going to be a disaster. Wound up playing, can we say, one of the best football games we've seen from him? I mean, look, I'm not trying to go crazy. 257 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't go Kirk Cousins Thursday Night Football on us or anything like that. But man, that one drive in particular, 2 back-to-back dimes downfield to Darius Slayton. It's just a good reminder, Dwayne, 38 rushing yards as well. It's like Daniel Jones can do everything you want your quarterback to do. That's why he got that contract in the first place. If we could just speed him up like a podcast, like put Daniel Jones on 2 times speed, man, we'd be cooking with something there.
Yeah, look, I mean, some might argue that 250 plus yards from Daniel Jones is actually like the more impressive feat than almost 400 passing yards from Joe Burrow. I mean, especially in the year when no one can throw the ball in the NFL, guys. It's over. Defenses have figured everything out. Mel Kiper, get rid of the cover 2, ban it. Yeah, look good, man. And the primary recipient here and you mentioned him, Darius Slayton, man. Yeah. Like Darius Slayton, and we talked about him last week on our Friday show. Not a guy that over the course of a long period or a long sample, it's not like he's going to be a 25% target share guy, but definitely has an ability to show up from time to time and be, he's probably a really good wide receiver 3 for an NFL team. And he got thrust into a wide receiver 1 role today, but he played the part, Ian. He had a 36% target share with 11 targets. He handled 71% of the air yards for the Giants today, and he came down with 122 yards and a touchdown. So if you had to get Darius Slayton into your lineup, and we did in a couple of lineups, it worked out for you. It ended up working out. Like, do not buy into this being the long-term thing. Obviously, once we get Malik Neighbors back, we know that he's going to be the primary guy getting the ball here. Wandale Robinson getting the ball underneath. But maybe it's a little reminder, like to Daniel Jones, that Darius Slayton is a third option, and he is good enough to beat, many corners in the NFL.
Biggest problem was after catching one of said long passes, he went ahead and did, a celebration that included guns, and accordingly the NFL flagged him. And, my kid was watching the game, Dwayne, they started doing crack right after that. So really is a problem. And, we all thank the NFL for making the world such a better place. What a joke over there. So other big storyline in New York, again, good game from the passing performance, just overall 6 catches, 36 yards for a touchdown for Wandale Robinson as well. But we know that is the Malik Neighbors show whenever he is healthy enough to suit up. What about this backfield, Dwayne, where it seemed like it was going to be the Eric Gray show early on, 3 catches for 50 yards on the very first drive, but turns out losing a fumble at the goal line and watching it go all the way back the other way for a touchdown, maybe as a way of putting you in the doghouse.
Yeah, that's what seemed to happen. And he was getting the passing down work too. I mean, the dude was like balling in that first drive. But it did end up going to Tyrone Tracy Jr. 56% of the rushing attempts came his way on 62% of the snaps, 41% route participation. It's hard to know for sure, Ian, how true that is. But I want to say, like, Tracy made the most of it. Dude came out there and balled out with 7.2 yards per carry, 129 rushing yards. He didn't end up scoring, a rushing touchdown, but he looked really good in the process. And we know that this is a guy, based on what he did in college, he can be a good receiver out of the backfield. Again, not a huge route participation rate at 41%, but flipping over to the receiving here, because it's in 2 different things. Thank you very much, True Media, for keeping this data so updated so we can do this show live on a Sunday night. But looking at what he did in the passing game, he had a 13% target share. So, I mean, that's pretty solid. So we'll see what happens here with Devin Singletary. He was ruled doubtful in this game with a groin here. I'm getting better at this, Hartitz. I'm on a streak right now. But yeah, looking at Tyrone Tracy, it's borderline running back too. Like, I would want to see one more game, just because of the way Eric Gray was getting some of the carries early. But Tracy definitely looked good enough, to lock that job down. It's just hard to know what the coaches will do. So borderline running back too.
Winnable enough matchup next Sunday night against the Cincinnati Bengals, a defense that we've seen again have trouble slowing down really offenses of all shapes and sizes during this still young season.
And what about the Giants defense, Ian? Like,